Welcome to the study prep, guys. Econ, this will be a full course on economics. Welcome back to the study prep, guys. CSEC or the study prep, guys, chill zone. And today we'll be looking at an introductory class into econ. Without further ado, let's start. So, first of all, what is economics? So, economics is a social science that deals with the study of consumer decisions. So there are three basic questions that come to mind with the inferral of the basic economical questions are what to produce, for whom to produce, and how many. These are the three fundamental questions that shape the economical landscape in any economy in the world. So there's something called the traditional economy that we usually in for too. In a traditional economy, the owners of the factory production are the private and public sectors. Private sectors are usually owned by private individuals, while public sectors incentives are owned by government personnel, and the government in itself. The government usually implements certain bilateral incentives such as quotas and CET, common external tariffs. So the factors of production, the three main factors of production include land, labor, and capital. So land, this is in direct referral to the physical landscape utilized in the production process. The factor reward for land is rent. And labor, this refers to the skills and attributions of persons that drive the production process. The factor reward for labor is wages. Then we have capital. Capital refers to just machinery or things that the business owns, and the factor of reward for capital is interest. And guys, this is a very short video. Subscribe, hit notification bell. See you guys.
Watch my 9mm go bang. Wah-da-da-dang, wah-da-da-da-dang. Watch my 9mm go bang. Wah-da-da-dang, wah-da-da-da-dang. Player haters, masturbators, bitches all up in my shit. Living scared, you know you did. Walking around with a cripple leg, that bitch boy tried to take my shit. Fucking with the wrist on kick. MAGNOLIA, that is why your ass will let you.
Minutes for that, right? So before the document actually loads, let's do some brainstorming or some little bit of a preparation before we actually work the 2025 January paper 2. So let me just pull out this notebook here, guys. 2025 January notes. In terms of communication, let's look at some communication methods. We could just jot down our points so that when we're going to answer now, we have a bit of an idea what we should put in. Not a really bit of an idea, but I just want to put this out there so you guys could learn while I'm answering questions, right? I just don't want to answer the questions and move on and you don't understand something. Guys, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to type in the chat what you don't know. And this is for your own sakes. Communication styles. There are a lot of different communication styles, such as telecommunication. We have telecommunication. We have oral or face-to-face communication. Face-to-face communication. Face-to-face communication styles. We have telecommunication, oral or face-to-face communication, and then we have electronic communication. And electronic communication is like basically, if you look at the electronic communication and thing, it's basically under the same category. So telecommunication, oral, and electronic communication. Electronic communication is more inclusive of, like, for example, social media networking. I know you guys out there have a WhatsApp. You have WhatsApp. You could talk to your friends about stuff, about what happened in school today, what happened in the exam. That's a form of electronic communication. All right. Oral or face-to-face, you talk to a group of persons visible in sight. That's oral or face-to-face communication. And we have telecommunication. Telecommunication now is when you have a big screen, you could talk to your bosses and employees from far away on basically a big screen. And a lot of businesses actually utilize this means of communication. And the good news is we have the documents now. It is loading in. It's loading in, guys. It's loading in. It's loading in. You guys ready? You ready? Are everyone ready? everyone ready for the January 2025 paper two. So hopefully you are ready to start this paper. You just change the orientation of this. So just note this is the 2025 January paper two. So hopefully you're okay out there. Hopefully everything is all right with you. All right, guys. So it's the section I. Answer all questions in the sections. In the section, the design of modern office should include adequate ventilation to ensure the air quality within the space. Outline two other factors that should be considered when designing an office space. So first of all, one of the major things that you need to consider when you're designing an office space is comfortability. Comfortability and the ventilation of the said environment. So ventilation of the said environment. So comfortability and ventilation of the environment, right? The environment cannot be ugly, it cannot be nasty, it needs to be clean. So two factors that would be considered when designing office is ventilation and comfortability of the environment or of the said environment. So that's the first question. So another factor that needs to be taken into place would be ergonomics. Ergonomics. Let me just put this up. I can give you a definition of what ergonomics is. Definition of what ergonomics is. So first of all, ergonomics is making the environment suits the worker rather than them adapting. So ergonomics and work efficiency. And another factor that they may need to take into account is the budget, right? Because when we're talking about businesses, we're talking about budgets. So some things that they should take into consideration. Just put up a new thing here. 2025 Jan answers or initial answers. So back with this here, it says outline two factors. Let me just think this out here. Good. Outline two other factors that should be considered when designing office space. The budget, and this is basic. The budget is the amount of money that they even have to make the office, because when you're doing a contract, they will give you a fixed amount of money, and you have to figure out how will I make this environment as comfortable, as ventilated as possible. And that's why we have ergonomics. We need to make sure that the environment is created for work efficiency and work productivity. So that's the answers for this one here for section I, question one. If you guys have any questions, don't be afraid to ask, right? Let's move on to the second section. Describe how each of the following types of equipment will contribute to efficiency in the office. Multimedia projector. It increases work efficiency by the spreading of information, and this is only worth 2 marks. You don't really need to do a lot of elaboration. It increases work efficiency by spreading information across in an understandable, and workable and efficient manner. Let's utilize an example. And something that I use a lot when I'm answering these questions is something called PPE. And this is something that a lot of people don't know when it comes to this. And I want you to embed this thought into your mind. PPE. What is PEE? It's PRE. Sorry for that, guys. Point, reason, and example. Point, reason, and example. PRE. PRE or pre, right? Point, let me just put this out. Point, reason, and example. And this is the secret formula to answering questions. And I did make a video on how to answer thing effectively, answering questions effectively. So this is something that you could do when you're answering questions. So I state the point: multimedia projector increases work proficiency by the spreading of information across an understandable and efficient manner. And then we will give an example. For example, in the case of presentations, making it simpler to understand. Making it simpler to understand in a business setting. Yes, so that is it for that. Hopefully you understand that. So guys, I'm telling you again, don't be afraid to use the chat. I want a very good chat tonight. I want a very good audience tonight. All right. So let me just think this out because some of you guys may not be seeing. Let me just think the initial answer for this. And just like that, we're already on our way to fulfilling this before the night's out. I just want to make it as fast as possible so I could move on to another paper at least before the night done. So for the year, we already worked 2023. We already worked the year 2023. And I really want to move on to the year 2024. So we could work 2023, 2024, and 2025 so that you are up to date. I don't know if it's even possible, but I might have to live stream all night. I don't even know, guys. I might have to push in a lot of work because I want you guys to pass. I want you to not fail, right? So something that you should take into account when answering questions is point, reason, example. I said multimedia projector increases work efficiency. I stated what point, which is multimedia projector. I give a reason why it is important or why it's effective, and then I give an example, and that is an point, reason, example, right? So if you answer your questions like this, they sound extremely smartable. They sound smart, they sound efficient, and they sound generally better, right? So we have that out of the way. Laptop computer. So we state our point, laptop computer generally improves the arithmetic structure, sector of the business by providing accurate information. For example, in the case of inventory management. So yes, guys, we're cooking with gas. Everyone. We're cooking with gas. We are cooking tonight. You will destroy that paper tomorrow. Just put that up there so you guys could see. Put it on the new page. So laptop computer generally improves the arithmetic sector in the business, not the business. That just sounds kind of weird. In the business by providing accurate information. For example, in the case of inventory management. So I state my point. I give a reason for that point, and then I give an example of it. And this is the format that you could answer every question in CSEC. Every question, literally. You just state your point, you state your reason, and then you give an example at the end, right? So hopefully that could give you a bit of an understanding of what you need to do when you're in CSEC tomorrow, right? So that is it for that. We're cooking. And let's read the instructions for this one. And I just want to say this, something that I really want you to take. Questions like this here always come. Always. If you look at it 2023, I did work 2020. I worked all the recent years for 5 years. They always bring questions like this back over and over and over again. So you need, let me just highlight that, you need at least at before this night ends, understand how to do this properly. All right. All right, so there's a vacant position. Let me just erase this here. So they said here, I'm just setting up my notebook so I could make sure everything is all right. There's a vacant position for sales clerk. Let me just put it TXZ. Is that TXZ Corporation? So that is it for that. Just put this in a different position. It's not moving. Anyways, let's leave it there for now. So they said here, there's a vacant position for sales clerk at TXZ Corporation. The position is said to be advertised internally. Assume you're administrative clerk in the HR department, human resource department. Write a general notice to be sent to all staff informing them of the vacancy. The notice should include the following. So since it's a memo, it's an internal, and this is a memorandum. Memorandum are internal documents. Memorandums are documents that are only shared in the business, so we don't have to do certain things, right? If we're going to send a letter outside of the business, we might probably have to do sender's address, but we don't have to do that now. All right. Well, and in a memorandum, everyone knows everyone. You're working with your fellow colleagues. There is not generally a need for that. So let's do that. Notice application for post. Christ, I forgot to put up this. I forgot to put this up. I forgot. Guys. For that, let's put up this. You guys could see what I'm doing, so I'm articulating properly. Let me put up that note. If you guys see that note, tell me in the chat. Did you see my notebook? You like my notebook? So the TXZ Corporate notice for application for post of sales clerk. Application for post of sales clerk. So yes, we have that out of the way. So we have our opening statement. Let's just put that in. The position of the said person, of the said employee, said job vacancy is available as of the 20th. I just making the random dates. 20th of June, 2024. And that is our opening statement. Very simple. The position of the said job. Let me see the job position. What is job position? Assume vacant position for sales clerk. The said sales clerk. Sales clerk is available as of 20th of June 2024 and will expire on the let's think a reasonable date. June, April. Let's think it in September 20th, 2024. All right, good. So we have our opening statement right off the bat like that. That is our opening statement. Let's look at some of the duties. So assume you're an administrative clerk in the HR department. All right, a general notice to be sent to all staff, informing them of the vacancy. The notice should include an opening statement to duties, right, for the position. So let's look at the duties now. Duties, and when we think of sales clerk, we think of inventory management, responsible for the management of essential documents in the business. So we have our first responsibility right off the bat like that. Another one of their duties could include the addressing of public relations as it relates to customers. And when we think of addressing public relations, we think of, if for example, if an employee has an issue, they should address it. They should try to find a solution, which is basically in line with the HR department, right? Because the HR department really deals with um, addressing the concerns and the or any belittlement or any issues revolving around the consumer and the employer, or the employee and the employer. Not really the consumer, but the employee and the employer. So addressing of public relations relates to the customers. Let me just put in the full date for September. September 2024. Yes, exactly. So we have our duties out of the way. Let's look at our skills. And I did not see they have any qualifications. Anyways, since they did not put in any qualifications, I believe they already know that everyone in the business, in the internal organization of the business, I think they don't believe or they don't think that any position in the business you could actually apply for in the business, and they send you this notice. You could apply immediately and get the job because you're in the business. People know that you are qualified for the job. People know that you are prepared for the job. So chat, how are D now? How are you? How are you? How are you out there? We are going 33 minutes long. Anyways, guys, let's move on. Don't sleep on me. Don't sleep on me now. I've made it this far. So we have our openings. We have everything in place. Let's look at some skills that they need. Skills, proficient in communication mechanisms. I'll just put in one skill. I did not really put in any fixed number you should put in. Proficient in communication mechanism must be a people person. So yes. Closing statement. And this is where you sign to actually show that you are ready for the job. If the said person fulfills the requirement, sign here. And I'll just put this as that to just show that they could sign right there. So this thing is all right. Fails the requirement, sign here. And if the said person does not sign here, put this back right here so that it could sign. So yes, this is the application of the TXZ Corporation Notice application for post sales clerk. The position of the said job, sales clerk, is available as of let me just take out the dot because that just sounds weird. As of 20th of June 2024, and will expire on September 20th, 2024. Duties include responsible for of the management or responsible for the management. For the management of essential documents in the business, addressing of public relations relates as related to customers. Skills should include proficient in communication mechanisms, must be a people person. Closing, if the said person fulfills requirements, sign here, and if the said person does not, sign here. So yes, that is it. Let me just paste it right here. Just paste that there for reference. Oop, just like that. And guys, to be honest, this is my first time working this document, and I don't see it being that difficult. So if it's not difficult for me, I bet you could do it yourself. Right, guys? You could do it. Don't be afraid. You could. So this is it right here for me. Very basic. I did not over elaborate, and that's how we want it, right? Don't push yourself. Don't try to sound smart, or don't try to do things that you know you're incapable of doing. If you have to just use a little couple of sentences to make it easier for yourself, do so, because you could come back to that. You could come back to it. All right, you have a lot of time. Let's look at the time allocation. It's 2 hours, right? least 5 to 10 minutes per question. Suggest two questions that a human resource might ask as the interview. Um, what are what are your general interests? What are your general interests? And if so, why? What are some other questions that y'all guys think that? What are some other questions y'all thinking of? So something that they might ask is, what is your general interest, and if so, why? What do you like to do, and why do you like to do it? What kind of feeling do you get from doing it? They might want to know what are your way of thought, your way of living, and stuff like that. Or a very basic question that they might ask is, why did you apply for this job? For this job. This job in the first place. So it's only worth 2 marks. You just give 2 basic questions and we're right off the bat like that. Wait, that can't be everything. That's impossible. Oh yeah, back with this one for 2A. We have already answered question I. Identify 3 channels of communications that could be used in an office. Telecommunication. It could also be oral communication, or the electronic communication. So we have 3 points right there, right off the bat. Simple, move on. Line 2, advantage of including charts and graphs in a business report. It makes information more understandable. Information more understandable. It makes the information generally more understandable, and presentation process easier to explain. Easier to explain. So yes, we have that right off the bat. It makes the presentation process easier and generally easier to explain, because if you have graphs and what's not, it's more easier. Just think about it. If you have to present information on like 10%, Johnny by 10% bread and that, it's just a lot of effort. Instead of doing all that, you could just present it on a big graph or a big table or something presenting information, and just said, look, it's right there, right? And you don't have to do all that, right? You don't have to do all that. You could just say, look, it's right there. So another advantage of including charts, accurate presentation of information. So yes, accurate presentation of information. So that's 2 points right out the bat. Let's move on. Guys, we'll come back to this. Because, right, and I'll do another video on this tonight. I will do it. I swear I will do it. So stay in tune. I will have to take a little bit of a break, right? I will have to take a break, but I will come back. Let's move on to the SD questions that just need a little bit of elaboration and stuff like that. So a well-functioning reception area can promote a positive image of an organization. List 4 ways in which a receptionist can maintain the reception area. General positive attitude. Let me just do some research, guys. And just type this in quick. Ways a receptionist can prepare reception area. Let's just take those 2 couple points right off the bat like that, and let's question. This is very weird, but anyways, let's put it in this. So they said here, some ways that they could or some ways receptionists can maintain the reception area is declutter, avoid food items, keep the floor area clean, and install essential amenities such as bins, tissue paper, and water dispensers. And I believe those points are very much self-explanatory. Stage 3 benefits of electronic reminder system instead of manual system. It does not require much effort, easier to utilize, compared to manual alarms. More accurate, just think of this. What you think, chat? What you think? Stage 3 benefits of using electronic reminder systems instead of manual systems. More accurate alarm systems that will go off automatically. So yes. Anyways, guys, if you have your friends, guys, just call them up, tell them that the Study Prep guy is making videos right now on the 2025 January paper 2. We're already at page 11. We're already closing the document, to be honest. We're already closing the documents. So it says here, we'll answer this one more question, and I believe we'll take a close. Right? We'll take a close right here. See how long the video went on so far. We were on for 3 minutes. We gone a bit. So it says here for C, Mr. O'Neill Foster is the chief executive officer of a construction company. His executive assistant is responsible for maintaining his business diary. Assume you are the executive assistant. Use the following notes for the week commencing 26th of May to complete the diary provided on page 15. We'll be at a site meeting on Tuesday morning for 3 hours, followed by a presentation to the board of directors 2 days after. Let's just take down that information. So first of all, they just put it in order. Site meeting Tuesday, site meeting Tuesday for 3 hours, followed by presentation for 3 hours. 3 hours. So followed by presentation to the boards of directors 2 days after the site meetings. So if this is the 26th of May, this is the first meeting, right? This is the 26th of May because they said it could commence on 26th of May for 3 hours, right? A presentation to the board of directors 2 days after the site meeting meets at 10 a.m. So if it's 2 days after, that will be meeting. We have to make sure that this information is accurate. Meeting at the what day did they put in again? 26. That is 2 days. Meeting at the board of directors at. So it's 2 days. So that's 27, 28. That will be 28th of May. They will have this meeting. So first of all, we have 2 dates in this. We have the first date being the site meeting Tuesday for 3 hours, the 26th of May, and meeting at the board of directors at the 28th of May. That will commence on 10 p.m. So Tuesday for 3 hours, 26th of May. On Monday, schedule a training session for 4 hours. Starting time is 11 a.m. with an hour for lunch. So let's see. So if this is Tuesday, and we have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This meeting is actually on Thursday. So let's just put in that information. Thursday. This is a Thursday. So you guys understand what's going on? So they said here will be a site meeting on the Tuesday morning for 3 hours, followed by a presentation to the board of directors. So the site meeting began on Tuesday for 3 hours, 26th of May. All right. And they said meeting at the board of directors at May on Thursday. It will commence at 10. Let me just put in that information. 10 a.m. Right? 10 a.m. So starting time on Monday. So that this is on Monday. On Monday, I think it's training session hours. So if it's, let's see, the start time 11 o'clock, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, and we have an hour lunch. So they have will be there for 4 hours, consecutive hours. Will end at 4 p.m. and start at 11 hours. So we have our information right there. A presentation, the meeting, board of directors, they have meeting the board of directors, meeting at 10 a.m. So we have the data right there. The week meeting at 1 p.m. on Friday. That is 4 days after Monday, or 3 days. So the staff week meeting at 10 a.m. for 2 hours, or 1 p.m. staff meeting. So the staff meeting is for 2 hours. So if it starts at 1 o'clock, that will be at 3. Starts at 1 p.m. and ends at, so how much hours? 2 hours, right? So that they will end at 3 hours. So we have those couple points. Let me just put that in some bullet points so we don't get confused. A bullet that, bullet right here, bullet that right here, and yes, we have 4 points right down the dot. So we have those points out of the way. Now let's move on. So the final one. The meeting with the executive starts 2 hours before the staff meeting. The meeting with the executive assistant starts 2 hours. So this is on the same day. So staff meeting starts at Friday. Friday, both of these things are the same day. Friday with the interview with the staff meeting, that is 1 p.m. and ends at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And they say here, this is another meeting entirely, that they have the meeting with executive staff, meeting with the executive staff. So they have a meeting with the executive staff 2 hours before. So if it starts at 1 p.m., that will be, let's deduce 12. That will start at 11. Will start at 11 and end at 1 p.m. So we have that. That's all the information that we need. The Minister of Education requested that Mr. Foster's attend a breakfast meeting to discuss the proposed construction of new school. Suggest the most suitable day and time for the meeting. So the first meeting is on Tuesday, and then we have Thursday the same week, Monday, and we have Friday. So if you take into account all the dates, the best time that they could actually do this is around Wednesday, right? The best date to best date for the meeting of the construction of a new school is Wednesday. Since there won't be any meeting in place. And to be honest, guys, there's a lot of different answers for this. CSEC did give you a lot of things that you could think into account. Just think this right here. So let's look back at the dates. You may have forgotten over a period of time, or you just forgot to study on, right? So let's make sure everything is all right with you guys. Let me just change the screen structure so I could see the chat. Welcome again, everyone. Welcome. Hopefully you are well. Hopefully your day is going well. And after this live stream, your day will even be better. So this is a continuation of the 2025 January paper 2. Hopefully you are doing good, guys. So we did answer majority of the question. We're on page 14 right now. We are already at the end of it, basically. So we're just closing off the 2025 January paper two. I don't place in the answer, so we don't have to articulate a lot. I just place in the answer. I just explain, and we'll close up the stream very early tonight, so you guys could get some rest. Right? You could take your rest. Take your rest, guys. Rest is important. Don't be like me. I'm a studyaholic. I don't take a lot of rest, but you guys do take your rest. You need to be in the best mind possible for tomorrow. So it says for A. Let's start answering. Are you guys with me? Tell me where you are right now, chat. Tell me where you are. I'm seeing you right now. I'm seeing you where you are right now. Tell me in the comments below. Where are you right now? So for 4A, it says state two functions of the transport office. The first function of the transport office is restocking of the inventory. They are responsible for picking up goods and services and bringing it back to the original or the business location in order to restock the inventory. Usually this is what we call the dispatch department, or the dispatch and packaging department. This department mainly deals with collecting goods and services, and they all are also responsible for the movement of goods and services from point A to point B. They are mainly responsible for the movement of goods from one location to the next. They usually have these two bilateral functions, and is not really difficult to remember. So let's go back to question B. And guys, if you do not understand something, if you disagree with something, I'm readily open in the chat. So let's wait a couple seconds for some people to join the chat, so some people could come in place, and let's make sure everything's all right. How are you guys doing out there? You guys all right? You guys hearing me properly? You guys hearing? Because I'm videoing on the computer right now. Is everyone okay? Is everyone? Can you hear me? Check mic 1 2 3 1 2 3. CSEC OA paper 2. Are you guys here with me? If you guys are hearing me, press some hearts in the chat. WOA tomorrow. WOA. WOA in the chat. WOA. WOA tomorrow. Not no L's. We don't want no L's. We don't want no L's tomorrow, guys. No L's. So, anyways, thank you guys for all the support. Really appreciate it. So let's go back to answering the questions. So it says here for B, if you guys could see on the screen, let me just show you. Let me zoom in a bit. So it says explain the use of the following documents in operations, dispatch, and transport office. We have a destination sheet, right? The sheet in the spreadsheet program where they listed or move, or it can be also described as a document outlining the delivery destination of goods. So within within an office, you will have this document, or within a business, you will have this document. They might have an outline of all the destinations that they want to post this good or service. They want this good or this service to go from point A to point B, and they will have a list of that. So if you understand that, just imagine a list, and just imagine that list being filled to the brim with different destinational points, right? And some major things or some advice that I would give you tonight is, after you finish watching this video, go take your rest. Rest is important. But while rest is important, do a little bit of a couple minutes recap by yourself, because I believe recapping by yourself is also important, right? Just do some research on invoices and stuff like that, so you could recap the Impress system. I did make a last video on that on our last live stream, the Impress system, what the Impress system is, and so on. Let's be stop yapping and let's start answering. So we have an import license, and this is a very important document. And a lot of people, when they go in CSEC, they'll be like, what is import license? An import license is an official document issued by a government that grants permission to import specific goods into a country. And let's look at that good. Let's look at the term specific goods, right? It's a license. It's a license that regulates international affairs. So you cannot import certain goods without this document. For example, there might be persons who might be able to import certain goods like vehicles without duties on the goods. And duties are generally taxes on goods. Like, for example, recently, I don't know if you know, but this is a global affair. There was a recently like a kind of trade war between the United States of America and China, with 125%, I think, with America, and 145% tariff with with China. me just put that up on the screen so you guys could see what I mean. And I like to go through like some examples so you guys could understand what is going on in the world. Right? So an import license is an official document issued by the government that grants permission to import specific goods into a country, ensuring compliance with national and international regulations. For example, we have something called demerit goods. Demerit goods are some things that the government don't want in the country. Like, for example, drugs, marijuana, tobacco, etc., etc., etc. They might not want these goods. So in order to bring these goods into the economy, you may or may not need an import license. In certain economies, they're more flexible. But in certain economies, like for example, El Salvadorian president, he's a very strict guy. Very strict. I watched a couple of news with him. The El Salvadorian president is very strict. He won't want that in place. So, down right here. So, we're not answering this one right now. We're not answering this. Answer that on our next live stream in a next couple of hours, or maybe tomorrow, or because I believe the paper is 1 o'clock. Guys, tell me in the chat where, or 1 p.m. in the afternoon. Tell me in the chat when is your exam, so I could make sure that I could create another video to go through one final recap. This will be our final video on the office administration preparation. We'll try to make it at least 2 hours to 3 hours. This will be my longest live stream ever. I never did a live stream to 3 hours. I usually do it between 50 minutes or an hour at most. I don't go over that limit because it's very tiring. And I want to go through these points in a more explainable manner. And usually going over 3 hours, 4 hours, people get tired. People get tired of listening to me and stuff like that. And I'm just being honest with you right now. And let's move on to 5A. State 2 attributions of a clerk in the accounts office, the records, and another function or another attribution of a clerk in the accounts office is understanding of the accounting information. They need to understand the different books of original entry, such as a cash book, the impress system, the and petty cash book, and these things like this, reconciliation statements and stuff like that. They need to have that information. They need to understand that information. They just don't need to get it. They need to understand it. And now let's look into some very interesting terms. This is some really new terms. To those couple of terms. So describe each of the following duties of a clerk in the accounts office. What you guys thinking? You guys thinking, chat? So anyways, let me just take seconds. Tell me in the chat, where are you from? Where are you from? Jamaica. I did have a recent viewer that said it from Jamaica. Can't remember her name exactly, but big shout out. Trinidad, where are you? Trinidadians, where are you? You're supposed to be in the chat, man. You're supposed, Guyanese, where are you? Good. I see Jamaica. Shout out. Sweezy, that's a kind of weird name to pronounce, but big shout out to you. How you feeling, chat? You feeling worried? Don't be worried, man. Don't be worried. Don't worry. This will not be a too long live stream. I don't put any answers. I want it to be short. You could tell me in the chat below if you want a longer one. We will do a longer one in the next video. All right. Good. At least I'm on the same page with everyone. Anyways, let's start. Let me just thing up the whole screen so you guys put this up properly. So describe each of the following duties of a clerk in the accounts office. The reconciliation documents, right? And what is the reconciliation documents? The reconciliation documents are financial records that detail a company's accounts, balances, and ensures the accuracy and integrity of financial records. So we have the cash book, right? The cash book. We have a cash book. The cash book records financial transactions or cash transactions to say, right? Where after we finish making cash transactions, we have the reconciliation statements to make sure that there are no faculties in the balances. So the reconciliation statement and the cash book work hand in hand to ensure accuracy of information, right? So that's what the reconciliation statement is, right? So let's look at writing up a cash book. A book is a financial record that tracks all cash transactions, both receipts and payments, helping business manage your cash flow effectively. And I did make a very important point on our last video. I said that the most effective way on CSEC, like this a lot, of answering question is PRE. What do I mean? Point, reason, example. Point, reason, example. You state your point, you give why this point is correct, and then you give an example of that point. And when you do that, you explain yourself fully and accurately. So when CSEC reads your answer, they would be like, yes, that's a good incentive. So I state a cash book is a I state what is a cash book, and I state an example or for instance where a cash book is effective in a business. That's why I said helping business manage your cash flow effectively. So I give my point, I give my reason, and I finished off with an example. Right? So that's about it. I'll move on from this questions for now. I will answer these questions on my final live stream. Guys, stay in tune for that. That will be the best of the best live stream. I'll try to be as prepared, as explanatory as I possibly can. I don't care if my voice goes out, but I need you guys to be prepared. Right, chat? I see a lot of Jamaicans in the chat. Big shout out to Jamaica. Guys, really do appreciate all the support. So let's move on to 6A. Identify two types of discounts that might be offered by a supplier. So let me just give you notes, general notes. Just put that right here. Notes on answering CSEC questions. And this is some things that there are two main ways of answering CSEC questions, right? There is the way that you understand what you're talking about. Let me just put this on the entire screen so I can show you guys what's going on the entire screen. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? All right, good. Yes, you could get back there. So guys, hopefully you could see that. So some notes on answering CSEC questions. There are two main ways of answering CSEC questions. Some may disagree with me, but I believe this is the way that you could get marks even if you don't know a topic, or even if you don't know a subject, or even if you don't understand a concept exactly. There is a way of answering questions known as Oreo. Oreo. Say it in the chat. Oreo. It's spelled O-R-E-O. And you guys ever eat Oreo? Anybody ever eat Oreo? So a way of answering questions that a lot of people don't know is through a method known as Oreo, which is opinion, reason, example, opinion, right? And this is, for example, it could be utilized in office administration, right? So you state your opinion. It might not be factually correct. You state why you believe it is correct, and then you give an example, and you finish it off with your opinion. This is why I believe this and that, right? So in the case of, like, for example, cash discount, let's use a for example. Let's use an example of trade discount. Trade discount. Let's put it in all caps. Trade discount is the reimbursement of financial a deduction of 10% on goods. As a making the product less expensive. So this is an example of what I mean by Oreo. So let me just put that down. Opinion. So you guys are having a lot of wisdom. Opinion, reason, example. And just to note something about myself, I used to do a lot of debates. I used to do a lot of speeches on public stages a lot. And I always use Oreo. Like, for example, they might just pelt some random idea at me that I don't really know, because let's be honest, we're all humans. And I did not understand the concept thoroughly. So I just said I will use Oreo because I don't know what I'm talking about. So I give my opinion, I give my reason, I give an example of weird accord in my life, or just an example generally, and then I finish off the statement with my opinion, or why I believe that this is correct. So trade discount is the deduction of financial records. For example, a deduction of 10% on goods as a result, making the product less expensive. So this is an example of how you could utilize Oreo when you're answering questions. And like for example, when we have it here with quota, what is quota? Outline two factors that might influence the produce procedures used for purchasing goods. A quota is the limit of goods that could be imported to a country. So you might want to bring 10,000 barrels of oil into your economy, or you might want to buy 10,000 barrel of oil. But they will have a standard, or they will have a quota on the amount of barrels of oil that you could even bring into the country, right? And we have tariffs and duties on goods, and this is everyday thing. So uh, the purchase, the good of, like for example, might cost around $1 million. So a good might cost $10,000. But when we add duties and tariffs on that good, it might be increased to a substantiative $2 million to bring into your country. And we see a lot of instances in real life. Like for example, with stock market plummet recently over the couple with tariffs of 10% baseline tariff being added on all countries, and we had a lot of difficulties and people saying, I don't want duties, I don't want tariffs, I don't want tariffs on goods. And tariffs are something that get people on the edge. People don't want tariffs, right? People hate tariffs. So we'll come back to that, and I believe that is everything for now, guys. I don't think there's anything else. We'll answer these questions relating to this in our final video, right? So stay in tune for that, guys. Stay in touch. Hopefully you are doing well out there. So chat, how are they? Is this mechanical technology? No, guys, it's not. We're doing office administration right now. But if you're talking in relation to like technology and stuff like that, information is literally office administration is in relation to like technological concepts, because we have like for example telecommunication, teleconferencing, and we have all of these essential things like that. But if you're talking like deeply in the context of what it actually is, I would not say that. I wouldn't really say that, guys. So I won't really put that in that category. So back with how you answer questions, I want to spend a little time on this because I believe this is very important, because in office administration and stuff like that, you have questions relating to concept based, and you have to understand how to answer these questions properly. If you do on a concept, utilize point, reason, and example. This is just some notes that you could take. If you understand a concept, use P or point, reason, and example. So if you do understand a point or you do understand a concept, use PR, your point, reason, and example. So far, let's just do a bit of recapping. We did cover off 2023 paper 2 on our previous live stream. We did cover that off. And I did discuss how you're going to answer these questions, or how you go about answering these questions. Now let's take a little dive and take a little look into the CSEC syllabus. Let me just put that on screen. Wait, let me see where it is. Oh, I get it right here. I want to put this up on screen so you guys could see the syllabus for tomorrow. We're just doing a bit of brush up, a bit of recap, and then we'll be working our final video or final stream for tomorrow in the last video. So contents, we have the HR department, traveling arrangements, meetings, receptionist and hospitality, records and information management, recruitment and orientation, communication and office orientation. These are all the information, or this is all the documents that will be coming, including accounting and financial services, recruitment, operation, dispatch and transport services, and customer service. So these are some other things that will be coming tomorrow. So I want you to take that down. We did cover off all of it since we started today. So we did cover a lot of grounds. So guys, I really do appreciate all the support. As I said again, anyway, subscribe to the study prep, guys. CSEC. This channel will be 100% focused on CSEC related content, and that would be everything on my end, guys. That would be guys. Stay prepared. Stay ready for CSEC. Take your rest tonight. Don't over push yourself or don't study too much or study late, and then you're tired. All right. So hearts in the chat. Hearts in the chat, everyone. Hearts in the chat. Hearts in the chat, people. Anyways, guys, I really do appreciate it. The study prep guy is out. See you guys on our final video for today. We will do our final live stream on the OA. Stay in tune, stay in touch, guys. See you later. All right, everyone, welcome chat, welcome chat. It is nice to be back with you for this video. Hopefully everyone is doing fine right now. Just to give you some note, guys, today we'll be working a very strenuous paper, or we're going to do a lot of practice on the OA. So hopefully you are prepared. Make sure everything is all right. Everything is all right with you guys. So for today, we'll be looking at the Office Administration for CSEC preparation. We'll be working the latest years. We'll be trying to work at least 2 years to recap, to get that knowledge in place so that you guys could understand, because we are at a vital moment right now. As you guys would know, we are at a vital moment across the Caribbean. Tomorrow will be the OA assessment for paper 2. They did not release, at least I think, they did not release the year 2025 paper 2. So I would like to get that out there. They did not release that information. And honestly, if they would release that document, I would have been doing that document solely for this live stream. But since we do not have the document, we'll be working 2024, take that down, and 2023. We'll be trying to work those 2 years. Got it? So without further ado, let's actually go into the paper. We'll be working paper 2 for 2023 for us. And then we'll look into the other documents. All right, it's right here. So let's read the instructions and let's start answering this as fast as possible. So it says this paper consists of 6 questions, 3 in section 1 and 3 in section II. Thing. Give me a second. Let me put up this document fully so that you guys could see. Oh, it's back. All right, let's first question. It says for section I did work this paper before, but we're just working it back again. So I just get that out there. Worked this paper before, but we're working it back again just to recap your memories. So it says for section I, it says answer all questions in the section, meaning you have to answer everything basically. It says state 2 functions which an administrative clerk would be expected to perform in the office, right? And when we think of that, there's a lot of different functions that they will have to really perform. Let me share this tab instead. Let's actually start. So understand the needs of the consumers. So this is what, and I just like to get this out here, guys. This could work for any question. When you say the question, understand the needs of the consumers, that could work for any, like for example, if they ask a question like, what is a function of a receptionist? The function of a receptionist is to understand the needs of the consumers. And this same answer could work for any different job selection opportunities. Like for example, what is one of the main function of a business person? one of their main functions is to understand the needs of the consumers. And guys, if you have any comments, if you could chat with me. We could talk. Where we'll be something hours live stream. This is one of my longest live streams I will do. But guys, you have to focus right now. This is very important. So we have to know the way. Address the needs of the consumers. So, and just like that, this is only 2 marks, guys. So you only state your 2 points, and that will be it right there. So first of all, understand the needs of the consumers and address the needs of the consumers. And this might sound basically counterintuitive, but this is all you have to do. And when we talk about the term administrative, let me just highlight this term because I believe this term is very important. What does the term administrative mean? You could tell me in the comments below. What does the term administrative mean? The term administrative means, when we think of administrative, what do we think of? We think of documentation. We think of looking at the inventory management and these kind of things. So when you use the term administrative, we're referring to banking, we're referring to stock inventory, we're referring to logistics. And I'll post a video right on top here stating what is logistics and what's not, basic terms in office administration. I'll send a card right on top there at the end of the live stream. So if you haven't watched that video, guys, you could go and watch that one on what is logistics. So one of their other main functions, let me just put that right here, is management of essential documents. And I honestly, guys, when I'm doing these live streams, I don't really like to just put in one answer. I like to put in a lot of answers. And that's just me, because I want you to have a lot of answers, or a lot of different answers you could put in place, so that you don't only have to remember 2, you could remember 8, you can remember 9, so that when you're in the exam, you have a lot of choices to make. All right. So first of all, understand the needs of the consumers. Secondly, address the needs of the consumers. And finally, one of their essential, and this is basically their most important role, management of essential documents. But you might want to know, is this all? Is that all of their functions? To be honest, there's a lot of different functions, right? Because one of the other main functions of the administrative clerk is the payroll. They usually see how much money that an individual has to be paid at the end of a month, at the end of a week. So they are responsible for payroll too. They are responsible for payroll. So that is a lot of facts, or that's a lot of points that you have there, guys. So that's question 1. First, to understand the needs of the consumers, and just repeating this redundantly because you have to remember this. This is no joke, no playing, no laughing now. This is very important. Address the needs of the consumers, management of essential documents. What kind of documents I mean? I mean documents such as the invoices. I mean documents such as the receipts, and etc. and etc. and etc. Right? They are responsible for payroll. They usually pay the workers, or they check to see how much a worker has to be paid at the end of a specific month. Right? So that's for question 1. Right? The diagram below shows 3 sizes of paper used in a modern office. Identify 2 documents that each paper size is used to create. And we have A4, we have A5. And let's take a look at this, right, guys? And I believe this one needs to be broken down a bit. So when we look at the A4 documents, this is the basic of basics. You use this kind of documents to prepare. Let me just put that right here. Forums, letters. And when we talk about letters, we mean business letters, apology. This is basic, guys. Apologies, letters, etc. So when we look at the A4 documents, this is documents that we use almost every day, basically. We use this to write letters and stuff like that. So that we even use it to create emails. This is the This is the format of things that you would usually find when you're writing an email, A4, when you're writing a letter, when you're writing an invoice, etc., etc., etc. So that's for the A4 documents. Now, when you're using the A5 documents, we usually use the A5 documents for purposes like for example a trifold, and you would usually find a trifold when you're going into, like for example, a restaurant. So a trifold. So I just put trifold because trifold. Right. So you just create a trifold when you go in a restaurant. I'll just get a little add a little bit more detail because that is work 6 marks. And when you're answering questions, look at the mark allocation because they might want a bit more elaboration. This could be in the case of a restaurant or some other social activity. So yes, that's for that. Trifold. This could be in the case of a restaurant or some other social activity. Some other social activities that you might get from a trifold is like if you're getting invited to a wedding, and you might ask the question, what does a trifold have? A trifold, when you usually go into a trifold, there are a lot of things within a trifold. They might look at the dates. They might show you where you should be seated in a trifold. They might show you what time or what sequence of events that will occur in the trifold. Right now, let's go on to our final answer, which is the A6 document. And this document here, you usually use this as a business card. For example, you could use the A6, for example, business cards, um, or business cards or menus. So there's two of the things that the A6 documents is used for. You could use it either for like a business card or a menu. You ever see one of those little menus that you would usually buy. For example, if you're gonna buy a barbecue ticket, that is basically somewhat of a menu, right? And it's very small. It is not big. It is basically very small. So you would usually find that on business cards or menus, and that would be worth or 6 marks, right, guys? So hopefully you're following along. Hopefully everything's okay with you guys over there. So yes, so let's move on. And guys, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to argue because I like to argue about stuff. Not in a bad way, but in a constructive manner. So if you have any ideas, thoughts, any things that you want to discuss in relation to the answer, you could type in the chat. The chat is open. The chat is not closed. So for section C, it says here, let me actually see this good. It says A to Z stationery advertised their new laptops in the local paper. However, this did not result in an increase in purchases by high schoolers. Now let us highlight the essential information or the essential point. So they're selling A to Z stationery, right? Right? They're selling A to Z stationery. That's in relation to paper, right? That's paper basically. As I said before, this is paper like the A5 paper, the A4 paper, and the A6 paper. So we have to look at this question in a very santical manner, right? So they're selling A to Z stationery, advertise their new laptops in their local newspaper. So it says for the question that we'll be answering, it says suggest 3 reasons why more students did not buy laptops although they were advertised in the newspaper. And we have some basic reasons. It could be because of their personal preference. Okay, what is that? Personal preference. So it could be because of their personal preference or because of personal reasons they might not want to buy the document. So we have that personal preference. Monetary insecurity or monetary deficit. Monetary deficit, personal preference, and something that I really like to say to you. Let me see if I put this thing good. is that when you're going to answer these questions, guys, don't put answers that is too complicated. Try to put the most basic of answers. Like, for example, money deficit. They might just simply not have enough money. They might simply be in a deficit state where they may not have the financial obligations, or generally they may not even have the money to actually purchase a laptop. Or because of personal preference, they may not even want to buy that type of laptop. Right. So that's some of the reasons why they might not want to buy the computer, even though it was advertised. And as I said before, don't put in complex answers because you could get yourself jumbled up. Put in simplistic answers that you know you could elaborate on, that you know you could explain, even while you're sleeping. All right, so monetary deficit or personal preference. We have those 2 points down. What is another reason why they might not want to purchase the laptop? Cost too high. And this is a very basic thing because they may have the money, but the laptop might just be too difficult or might just be too high. The price for it might just be too high, right? So that is worth 6 marks. So it's incredible to note that this question might require a bit more elaboration, right? Let me just put let me just change the screen. I want to put it full screen. I don't think that is needed though. So chat how everyone is doing, how is the preparation cycle for the CSEC? How is it going? How are you feeling? You could tell me, don't be afraid. Tell me your thoughts. How are you feeling for it? Are you nervous? How is it feeling? Are you just normal? All right, so let's look at II. Suggest one incentive the company could offer the customers who purchase laptops. When we mean incentive, we mean deduction, right? Something that could reduce the price of the product. Um, Something that they could do is interest on goods. Interest on goods, right? Or tax exemptions. Or discounts. Or discounts, it could be in Ubuntu. So they could just offer discounts. They could just offer discounts for the good. They could just offer discounts for it. Or they could do interest on goods, meaning that they reduce the natural interest. Or like for example, the goods it costs let's use an average of $5,000, right? If they basically sell the good for $5,000, they could just think of interest on it, a deduction of interest, and instead of costing $5,000, that good could cost around like $4,000 to $3,000 or somewhat in between that. So that's that for that. That's a basic one. So let's see how far we answered. We're still up to section I. Still up right here. So yes. Now we're moving on to 2A. Describe the function of the routine slip when processing meal. Let's see how the chat is. Chat, where are you? Anyways, let's move on. Let me just sting up this here and check up the routine slip just to make sure. Let me just sting this thing up. Let's take a look at that routine slip. So let me see. Hopefully you guys could see that. It says here, a routine slip is a document or a configuration that specifies a route for a document or seek. Oh yes, I remember what that is. So there's a lot of different types of routine slips. They would usually place a slip on documents. Let me just go back to the paper. So they would usually place a routine slip at a document or a mail to show sequence. Routine slip functions as a way of organizing mails in a sorting sequence. For example, A to Z. So So when you turn the term routine slip is just a organizing documents, right? It's just a way of sequencing documents or organizing documents. So everyone with me on that? Everyone with me, chat? So let's look at the II, which is the second one for 2A. The mailroom clerk received an envelope containing a check for 3,800. Outline the procedure for handling this mail. Let me just put this in like a sorting. Yes, we could draw this. All right. Hopefully you could see that. Oh, that's too big. The mailroom clerk received an envelope containing a check for 3,800. So, first of all, let me just put this in a certain sequence. Received the mail. And you could do this differently, guys. You don't have to do it like how I'm doing it. You could just put it in steps. Just think out this thing. This thing is very small. Receive the mail. Just think this thing out a bit. Check. Check the routine slip. And after that, final account. Just draw that. Drawing is very bad, guys. So yes, I think that's the process. So after you receive the mail, you check the routine slip, meaning that you check the who it belongs to, and after that you place it in the final account, or you placed it under the person's name who should have received the mail or who it belongs to, right? So identify 3 barriers to written communication. So written communication, we have letters, we have memos and memorandums. We have all of these things for letters. It says identify 3 barriers to written communication. Just check it out just to make sure. My old friend Google. So we can make sure we're on the right path. I have some ideas, but I'm just making sure that I'm right. Let me see, what does it have here? So some barriers to written communication could be like, for example, language nuances. It could be, for example, the language is too complex, the person misrepresented or did not understand where you're speaking from, or something like that, right? They did not understand language communications, unknown jargons. Let's just put that in. Let's put some of that in. Unknown jargons, nuances, language. So this is some of the barriers to written communication. Could be just unknown jargons. They might utilize what going on there, boy, and something like that. It's a Caribbean slang. And there are different Caribbean slangs that we might use, and that might cause unknown jargons. You might not understand the term, and we have language maybe too complex. Someone may not understand what you're saying generally, because your language might be hello there, how are thee, or something like that. Like for example, if you read, like for example, with different books, and we might read it, but we might not fully understand because we are saying that the words are too complex. So let's move on to section C. Let's actually highlight this. So it says here, Premium Foods, St. George's had decided to recruit an additional purchasing clerk. Assume you are a clerk in the HR department, human resource department, preparing for advertisement for the post of purchasing clerk using the following notes. The successful applicant should possess 5 CSEC passes including English A and Office Administration. The applicant should have worked in a similar post for at least 24 months. Applicants should be submitted before 26th of April 2023. Include two duties that would be performed by the purchasing clerk. Include two attributions that the purchasing clerk should possess. Now let's brainstorm, guys. This is brainstorming time. Let me just make sure this is all right. Take out my little notes. Hopefully, guys, you're still with me. So we are gonna make some notes, guys, and if you have any ideas, don't be afraid to tell me in the comments below. I need to put this thing on fully conjugate my text. All right, hopefully you're able to see there. So this is some notes. Let's take down some notes. All right, guys, hopefully you're still with me. Notes on application, on advertisement. Let me just go down a bit. Advertisement for the post purchasing clerk. So we have that out of the way. So the position is a purchasing clerk. Qualifications. It says the successful applicant should possess 5 CSEC subjects. Qualifications. And let's just put qualifications right here. And this questions like this is not hard, guys. It just takes a bit of time. The applicant should possess proficiency of 2 to 3 passes. And when I mean 2 to 3 passes, I mean grades to apply, or the applicant should possess proficiency of 2 to 3 grades to apply for the following job. The application should include, let's include maths, spell out the whole maths, mathematics, social studies, chemistry, let's see what else, English A, and finally Office Administration. So that's the qualification. Now we have to get 2 duties. The duties of the said employee includes management of invoices and other documents, and then we have management of, let me just put that as point 1. You guys could see me there. Management of invoices and other related, just put that related documents. That is management of invoices and other related documents. And after that, we would have, like, for example, something about relation to payroll for said employees. So yes, we have the qualifications, we have the duties. Now we have to have the attributions. And if you guys want more like streams like this for CSEC preparation, and depending on how the video goes, you could tell me if you want another live stream for this again. So let's move on. So we have to have 2 attributions. Applicants must have at least 3 years in a said similar job. So they must have at least 3 years in said similar job, must possess conversational proficiency, i.e. must be a people person. So we have that out of the way. So yes, we answered that question. So let's go back over this here. So notes on advertisement for post clerk. The applicant should possess proficiency of 2 to 3 grades to apply for the job. The application should include math, social studies, chemistry, English, and office administration as the 5 subjects that they said. Duties. The duties of the said employee includes management of invoices and other related documents, payroll for said employees. Attributions. Applicants must have at least 3 years in a said similar job, must possess conversational proficiency, i.e., must be a people person. So yes, we have those notes on that. Um, Job experience. Now let's move on to job experience. Job experience. Three years and over. So yes, closing. If the said employee of the said applicant has the following attributions, sign here. I just put these things to show so that they could actually sign. And if not, let's just put that here. Sign here. Say yes. That's a closing. So this is the complete. And let's look back at the format. Let's just think of final read over. Purchasing clerk, advertisement for post purchasing clerk. The applicant should possess proficiency of 2 to 3 grades. Apply for the job. The application should include math, social studies, chemistry, English A, and office administration. Duties. The duties of the said employee includes management of invoices and other related documents. Payroll for said employees. Applicant must have at least 3 years in a said similar job. Must possess conversational proficiency, i.e., must be a people person. Job experience 3 years over. If the said applicant has the following attribution, sign here, and if not, sign here. So yes, that's that. Let's move on to 3. Just check back the chat. Hopefully everybody is still there with me. All right, guys. The Human Resource Office has scheduled a series of interviews to recruit new employees. State 3 reasons why a company would conduct interviews with prospective employees. This is not hard to make sure they are up for the job. To understand their standing and for the job, to understand their standing, where are they in the understand their goals and objective. So yes, that's 3 points right out of the bat. Let's put that right there. Let's move on. State or suggest 2 desirable behaviors an applicant should display during an interview. Communication proficiency, positive attitude. Positive attitude includes good hygiene, posture, smile, etc. So when we think of positive attitude and stuff like that, It's not only that they're positive, but it includes their posture, how they smile correctly, how they position themselves, do they position themselves in a good manner, and etc. Stuff like that you have to think of. And they need to have communication proficiency. If they don't have communication proficiency, you can't really apply for a job, because in the real world, let's be honest, you have to have good posture, you have to get good communication skills, you need to be a people person. Put that right on top there, people person. So yes, that's that for that. So let's move on. Hopefully everyone is still okay with me over there. How is everyone doing? So yes, you have a good posture and stuff like that. So let's move on to C. The human resource department. Let me just fix back this thing now. I don't think I really need it. All right. All right, guys. Let's take a couple minutes break. Whew. Well, that was very exciting. I had to do the work out there. So let's look at C now. Let's answer that one. So it says the human resource department may store information on the applicants in a shared database. State two benefits to an organization of a shared database. So improve cohesion, and improve work proficiency. So yes, that's 2 points right out of the way. All right, so we did answer that one. Let's see how much more questions we have to go. We don't have a lot more to go, guys. We could do this up to section 5. So let's look at D now. I think I might need to do back that again. So there are a number of legal stipulations related to the access and retention of documents. For each of the following stipulations, outline one example to show how the stipulation may be violated. Just look at breach of confidence, skills, attitude, and attributions of personnel, and the importance of good relationships in the office. So we'll be looking at a complete dive into everything for this video. So hopefully everyone is prepared. Let's see as fun as that on. All right, good. It's on there. So the first thing, let's look into the notes. Here you go, doing there. So the unit is intended to introduce you to the world of the office worker. Orientation for new employees means finding your bearings. Let me just highlight that term. Finding your bearings in the workplace. It also means integrating employees into the organizations by motivating them in a manner that will entice them to stay in the employment and quickly contribute to the goals of the team. The orientation process will help you in understanding how your role contributes to the vision and mission and supports the core values of the business. So let's look at the role and the functions of the office. Productivity. And the office is the chief cornerstone in the development of the business, right? So the objective of any business is to combine resources to make or create goods and services that will satisfy the desires of consumers so that the business will make a profit. The objectives must be smart, specific, and measurable. achievable, realistic, and time for any given period. They are the core ideals that form business. So you cannot give an objective to an employee that is unrealistic, that is unattainable. It needs to be attainable. And one of the main functions of the office is productivity, meaning that they are the sole drivers of the company's idealistic objectives. So if the business has an objective of making $1 million, the persons that are making that $1 million are the office workers in the different departments. And we will talk a bit more about the different types of departments in a later video. I did make a few live streams on CSEC 2025 and 2023 and 2024. I think 2021. I can't remember 2021. I don't think I made a video on that yet. But for now, we're reviewing the whole syllabus. So productivity, that's one of their core functions. Let me just highlight that. Um, is productivity. Let me just change the color of this here just to show the difference. So productivity. One of their other but one of the other function is distribution and exchange of goods and services. Let's keep on reading for the productivity. It says here, vision as expressed in the business vision and mission statements and that remain relatively steady even as the business adapts to face competing businesses. Just put up my note sheet right there. I think I have to put it on the entire screen so you guys could see properly. So yes, we are back with office orientation. Just put this right here. This is the notes for a previous live stream, but we'll not take that into really much of an account right now. We just save this as notes on review all. Of the entire syllabus. So we have everything out of the way now. Let's keep on moving. Put that right here. So the owners of business invest in materials and acquire resources, including capital and people, to make goods or produce a service which will satisfy the demands of consumers and industrial markets. Investment is a process of using capital well to enable increased production of goods and services. So investment is the short-term reimbursement of capital for long-term gain. I believe this is a more simplistic definition compared to that. Investment is a short-term reimbursement of capital for long-term gain, right? The process of production is taking inputs of raw materials and converting them into outputs. Like for example, you might take a bark tree and you could make that bark tree into a table, into a desk or something like that. Goods can be defined as any material objects that can be seen, touched, or owned, such as television sets, cellular phones, and cars. Services are intangible, such as insurance and transportational facilities. They can be bought and provide something useful for the buyer, but they cannot be touched or taken home. Business owners invest their capitals in order to acquire land, buildings, raw materials, and equipment for purposes of carrying out their business activities. They employ people, labor, the investment in employees' time, skill, and creative energy to manage and use the equipment so as to produce the good or service. Governments invest in the same way by providing services such as hospitals, and education, police, and defense services. Therefore, in this chapter, we'll skip that. So one of the second, we'll try to go through this as fast as possible of the department. So one of it is productivity, distribution, and exchange of goods and services. So the traditional office is a physical structure within a business. With the growth in telecommuting, a virtual office has been developed where an office may be spread. So let's take a look at the more into the office. Put this right over here so you guys can see here. So some office in large businesses include the following: the records management office. Let's look at the types of office. Now let me just put a separate thing for that so you guys can see in the notes. Types of office includes so we have the virtual office or the telecommuting office. So that's one type of office. Let me just state that in bullet points. I don't know what happened there. Anyways, we have to think it like that. So the virtual office. Another type of office is the records management office. And then we have the procurement and stock control office. So that's the type of office, and then we have the HR office. So yes, that's all the types of offices. So yes, let me just make sure everything's all right here. So these are the types of office, including the procurement office. And let's take a look at the procurement office. The accounts office, where they usually manage the accounting information, such as, let me have the accounting office. I forget to put that right here. The accountant office, the accountant office. So we have the accountant office, the procurement and stock control office. So this office is responsible for buying raw materials, buying raw materials, buying raw materials. So we just put that right there. Buying raw materials, the procurement office, the accounting office responsible for inventory management and profit to loss ratio. So yes, that's two of their main functions. We have a lot of, so we have the virtual office, we have the records management office, we have the HR office, we have the procurement and stock control office, and we have the accounts office. So we have five major types of offices. So let's look at the so this is an example of how the production process is actually take place in a business. We have inputs, land, materials, etc., labor, capital, and this is the factors of production: land, labor, and capital. And that gets put into the production process. And from the production process, we have the input, the output of goods and services. And I did made a video on this on the full course on office administration and social studies. So you can take a look at that video after you finish this one. So let's look at the contribution of the office orientation. Um, this is some other essential documents that could be found in it. You see the chat. All right, let's go back to this. We'll just read it. So the sales and marketing office is the most customer focused part. So they're different branches. We have marketing department, the operation, dispatch, and transportation office, which actually processes the good or service. A major function is to ensure that the factory is functioning effectively, the equipment and tools are well maintained and move around when necessary. They also have sensitive employees to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and carbon footnotes or footprints. And then we have the sales and marketing office, which is responsible for getting your product or good out in the real world. It's the most customer focused part of the business. It communicates directly with customers in order to promote and sell goods or services produced by the business. the main function of the sales and marketing department is to attract and retain customers and increase sales volumes by meeting the customer's demand with the appropriate and timely supply. Let's move on back down more. And we have the disseminated office, or the this is one major function. Once business has gathered information, it is then disseminated. This is distributed to various parties. The information gathered will be disseminated to sales manager. So disseminated information meaning that we send the information to different parts of the business, different parts of the business all over the place. We share the information with the different departments of to make sure that we have cohesion and cohesion in the business. So if I'm within the marketing department and I have stored information, I will have to dismantle that information to different parts, like the accountant's office and all of these things like that. There are two main reasons why businesses collect, process, and disseminate information. So the first reason is to ensure that customers are getting what they want and that they come back for more goods and services. The key to any successful business is customer satisfaction. This is very basic. Potential customers may want from business maybe means of conveying customer service, feedback in person or on phone or online. So surveys function as a means of understanding the psychological position of the customers. So when you give it a survey, what products do you like the most? Do you like cheese? Do you like butter? Do you like bread? And after they take a survey, you will understand that we need to invest more in this area rather than this area, because in this area they don't like. So let's move on to our second point, which is the second reason why they collect, process, and disseminate information. So let's look into more reasons why they might actually do. So our next topic is collecting, processing, and preserving information, right? So data and information are similar but subtly different. Data is unprocessed information, raw facts. So data is the unprocessed and information is a process thing. So while data might be like 1, 2, 8, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 or whatnot, it might be in all order, but information might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in order, right? Data becomes information when it becomes a coherent and understandable line of knowledge. So if you have data like 10, 11, 12, 13, and we arrange that to 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, etc., it becomes information. So this becomes information, i.e., it informs us of something. When we additionally known, such as in which region of the country each unit was sold, for which price, da 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 da. That's just some examples of information. When we put all the data together, we can operate it on in such a way to derive some knowledge or display some information. In brief, we can say information is the result of data that has been processed to the extent that it can be meaningful to the person who receives it through some channel of communication. So data can be processed electronically, EDP, or manually. In this section, we will focus on the terms information rather than data. Once a business has gathered information, it's then disseminated. That is distributed. We did talk about that, and I don't think we need to understand this information here because I believe we don't get the main gist of it. So there are two main reasons why we collect and disseminate and process and disseminate information, and we just talked about that. So we'll move on. So this is like a chart of how the informational processes go, or how these different departments operate. So we have the customer inquires about the product or asks about the product, responds with quotation, and this is sales and management department. The other product processes sales order, examines customers' credit worthiness, if they have enough credit balance in their bank account, processes approve order, which is the stock control, packages sent product, and we update the stock to make sure that we update the stock, meaning that if someone bought our goods and services, we have to inform or we have to make a deduction to show that that good is no longer there. And then we have makes payment, updates customers account and said that they have made this entry for this date, that they make this contract, this cash transaction for this date. And we usually give them a receipt to show that they made this payment. So we have that out of the way. So, why and how information is preserved? To keep a record of the day-to-day goings in the business in order to understand where we are financially in the business. So, to keep a record of day-to-day goings in the business, consider let's not even use the example. So, there are many laws and regulations that specify which records your business must retain and the period of retention. So, one of the reasons why we might or why we actually um, why we preserve information is because of international law and storage of information, which will result in us understanding our profit to loss ratio as it comes back down to that concept again. So let's move on. Um, some ways of preserving information, such as microfilm storage and CD storage. This is some way of preserving. And I did make a video on the role of the filing clerk, but let's go back into that. Let's look into some role of the filing clerk. So one of their major rule, and this is just unethical information, but we're just going through it, so we don't have to explain a lot. We just need to give. I think I just need to give a brief explanation under the point. So one of the other function of the filing clerk is dissemination of information, meaning that they're responsible for spreading information to other persons in the business. Organizational management and legal control is another one of your functions. Um, and then we go down to our final point: how the size of a business affects the structure of the office. So the bigger the business, the more persons that you could employ in a business. If your business is very small, you cannot employ a lot of persons. So that's our first point. And the small business usually has a very basic structure. So we have the sole proprietor, which is the owner of the business. We have the cashier, which is usually a friend or family member. And we have the mail order clerk, who usually takes up into account our profit to loss ratio, right? Which is basically in the accountants department. And then we have the medium sized department. So types and patterns of relationships in a HR department in the medium-sized business, the accountant executive department, the receptionist, and then we have the clerical assistant. So we could look at the medium-sized department right here. The medium-sized department. So this is the medium-sized department chart. It's more complex than the this is more complex in comparison to the other department. It's by far more complex. So we have the partnership, senior solicitor, the junior solicitor is the human resource department, the accountants, receptionist, and the clerical. And it's more complex. So let's look at the nature of duties and responsibilities of the large businesses. The large businesses mainly have three functions. They have a responsibility to society, they have a responsibility to make profits for their own rights and their own purposes, what's not, and then they have responsibility to the government, meaning that they have to pay certain tax incentives and tax exemptions. They have to pay tax like the rest of us. So let's look at the structure or the orientation or the format of a large business, and this is very complex. And let's just think right here, because I don't think you need to understand all of this. Close right there. So let's look at the different functions of the different personnel in the large businesses, or this is some of the functions of all the persons that you could usually find in a business. Just taking it straight down. That. So let's look at the administrative assistant to begin with. So let's look at their functions. Skills in numeracy and literacy, maintain good working relationships, use basic computer software applications, and maintain document storage systems, both manual and electronic. And then we have the secretary, which is responsible for maintaining accurate office files, answering telephone calls, deal with incoming and outgoing mail, order and manage office supplies, use basic computer software applications, and maintain good working relationships with other persons, both internally and externally in the business, skills in numeracy and literacy. We have the data